Good morning, everyone. It's September 26th here at September 26th everywhere in the world.
No,
but
just
also at Gracie Bob, Franklin.
Just here specifically.
We're on week 4 of our curriculum. For the little champions, we are working on some striking defense as well as a hip throw and some mount top game and mount escapes for our little champions too. So it's going to be a very fun week. Professor Justin, what are we working on in the adults?
We're working on, so for self-defense, we're going to start with, it's kind of like an outside hook takedown, but from if someone were grabbing you by your coat or something like that. And then we're going to work towards, but we're going to work on mount escapes and knee on belly escapes. So can seem like a very simple week, even like maybe advanced students, you're like, oh, I know mount escapes. I'm sure, because I have some details I like to share and do that maybe you haven't seen before. And regardless, it's good for you to continue to practice as well as share your knowledge with the junior most. We have lots of new students coming, so show up for your GB1 classes and help the new students out with their mount escapes and their knee on belly escapes.
So this week, our topic is going to be how important it is to find a training partner or find a friend that wants to train jiu-jitsu as well and bringing them into the school. From my experience, I don't think I would have ever gotten to where I'm at in jiu-jitsu if I didn't have my brother.
Aww.
I'm holding back the tears. We did a lot of things growing up together, so when we started doing jiu-jitsu together, I think it tightened our bond as well as kept us motivated to train. When I didn't want to train, Professor Justin would push me to train, and when Professor Justin didn't want to train, I pushed him to train. So it's very important to find someone that you connect with, whether it be a sibling, friend, family member, to continue your training.
Yeah, I'm very jealous of anyone that has a brother or a sibling that can be an all-time drilling partner for them.
Well, you have your Teddy, though. You can train with your Teddy at home.
No, but Gunner just brought in his brother, Perry, which is awesome. It's a drilling partner all the time. You can always be working on jiu-jitsu. Hey, I have something that I just saw on Instagram and I want to try it out. Like, you just always have that person. But if you don't have a sibling or something, bringing a friend in, getting them involved, showing them something that you are really passionate about and getting them passionate about it can make it a lot more fun and can keep you guys around a lot longer.
Do you have something to say?
Well, I think it's important to note, so just for example, like me and Professor Chris are twins. We've had that relationship. It took me 9 months to get him in the door here. So I'm sure you've already talked to your friends or siblings about jiu-jitsu and getting them in the door, and they probably have reasons or excuses on why they can't start. And it just takes time, okay? Like, a lot of people are intimidated by going to a martial arts school. They think it's going to be Fight Club or something like that. So it takes time to get people in the door, but I think it's important to not just promote like how cool jiu-jitsu is and the self-defense, but to promote the life-changing aspects that it can provide to get someone in the door, and really in letting them know how friendly the environment is and non-intimidating the environment is.
So to branch off of that, I think the struggle most people have is, how do you tell people about jiu-jitsu? Most of us, because we're in the business, that conversation has changed. But, when we were not working for the gym, I think when I would explain what jiu-jitsu was, I would focus on jiu-jitsu and tell them about arm bars and chokes and takedowns. But a lot of people can't connect with that, especially if they've never done a martial art or never seen a martial art. So like Justin was saying, is when you speak to people about jiu-jitsu, and you're trying to get them in the door, instead of talking about the more intimidating stuff like takedowns, arm bars, chokes, talk about the community, the exercise, the mental health aspect of training. And I think you can make a better connection with people.
Or just tell them, hey, do you want to do that thing Tom Hardy does? And they'll know what you're talking about.
Yeah, good point.
Do
you want to look like Tom Hardy? Join today.
Ask me if I would want to look like Tom Hardy.
Hey, I heard you were interested in jiu-jitsu classes. If you didn't know, Tom Hardy started training jiu-jitsu when he was only 95 pounds. Have you seen him recently?
Yeah, I have.
Do you want to look like him?
No, thank you. I was just waiting for that. What else we got to say about?
So this week, we should talk about bringing a friend, right?
Yeah, what are we going to do for them if they bring a friend?
So this week, and this week only, if you bring a friend to class, we are going to double the $10 referral fee to $20. If they sign up, we're also going to double the $50 referral fee to $100.
What?
For this week only.
Does Brian know about that?
No, he does not.
He's gonna now.
Yeah, I know.
The credit. Wait, you're talking about credit though.
Yeah.
Not a fee.
In credit.
Yeah.
Yeah, did I say fee?
Yeah, you said fee like they're gonna be paying something.
Sorry, well,
It's
referral.
credit.
It's a referral fee that we pay out. It's a referral credit. Sorry. Thank you.
So what can that credit be used on?
You can use that credit towards your membership, towards a new uniform. Gracie Barra just released a bunch of new gis, so you could use it towards a new gi.
You could invite 3 people to try a class. Even if they don't sign up, you could get a new rash guard, new shorts.
Reminder, this week only.
Yeah, this week only. Great. Sounds good.
Let's talk about the assault bike challenge that we're doing next month.
Well, I think you will need to kind of explain it. We're going to do an assault bike challenge.
I'm not looking forward to it.
We're going to start this week, but it's going to end at the end of October. If you win the challenge, you get the bike. I'm just kidding.
Oh my goodness. So the challenge, we're gonna do a calorie test. So the calorie, it does provide like a calorie output number that's specific for the user, like your height, weight, all that stuff. It's kind of an arbitrary number because you can't program 100 people inside of it. So that number is gonna give us an idea of where our like power output is, I guess. So for a full minute, you'll do an all-out sprint. After about 20 seconds, it's going to turn into less of a sprint, more of a leisure pace. But the idea is to push yourself 100%. So even if you slow down, you're still giving 100% of what you can. And then we'll have that calorie number. And really, a whole minute sprint, we're not going to do all the time. It's really good to just give us a base number and then maybe 3 months out or 3 months later check that number again. But we're going to start incorporating the bike a lot into especially our competition training and getting ready for competition. So get ready.
From my little experience of using the bike in the past week, there's nothing that compares to it that you can, like, at least that I've never done, even like sprinting, because most of the time when you're sprinting, unless you're on a treadmill, you don't really see your output and how long you've been going. But with that thing, when you're pushing, you can see like how much time you've done, how much time you have left, how much output. So I think it increases your ability to like push and not just stop, you know? So I'm excited to incorporate this into our everyday training as well as like competition team training.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. I have done some long cardio sessions on it, like 30 minutes. And then I was doing some interval, doing that for like 45 seconds and then doing like an ab workout and back and forth. And then obviously like in class using it in between drills and things like that. It's awesome. It really, really is going to help everyone's cardio. And I think it's a great addition to the gym.
Yeah, people may think, well, why don't you just do more jiu-jitsu or roll harder rounds to get that cardio, which you could do, but there's a couple things that get in the way of that. It's like, one, if you're at a higher level than your training partner, it can be harder to get those tough rounds. Like if you're rolling with someone who's close to your level or at your level, and you guys roll hard, you're both going to be exhausted after. But sometimes as you get better, if you're rolling like a purple belt with a white belt maybe who's not very big or whatever, it can be hard to push yourself to that pace that you need for like competition and for good like high intensity training. I
also don't think you can push yourself.
I agree, because
you
can choose to stop, and especially in the gi, you can get some grips and kind of settle and take your breath, which isn't wrong to do, but to really like up our threshold of that high intensity stuff, it's hard to do,
especially with all the competitions we have coming up. Like, and so many people have signed up for these competitions. It's like being able to push the pace for 5 minutes, 6 minutes, however long your rounds are. That bike is going to help so much with that.
Also, to people who may say you need to train more jiu-jitsu or whatever the case, there's not a single professional sports team that just plays their sport for conditioning. Like, almost every professional sports team is using an assault bike, Versa climbers, things like that.
So David Ray, my former strength coach and training partner, he put it best. And so obviously, I think for most people, jiu-jitsu is like their fitness, which is great. But if you're training a lot and you're competing, jiu-jitsu is not where you're getting your fitness. It's your sport. So you have to do other things to get your fitness. If you only train jiu-jitsu, and I'm talking about guys who are training 5-6 days a week, sometimes double sessions, if you don't have things to keep up with your fitness, you can get injuries. So that's why it's important to strength train. So it's jiu-jitsu. For those competitors that are training a lot, it's your sport, not your fitness. You do have to do other things for your fitness to excel.
On top of that, I think, in our experience in the past year, unfortunately, a lot of the injuries that happen to people happen at the beginning of their jiu-jitsu journey. And it happens because they don't have the fitness level to train as much as they necessarily want to. So I think it's good to incorporate other things into your lifestyle and exercise routine.
I can't remember who I was listening to talk about this, but like, jiu-jitsu is very unique in that it's one of the only sports that really doesn't have a focus on strength and conditioning. Like wrestling, people in high school and college that wrestle have like structured time for strength and conditioning. Right. And jiu-jitsu is very unique in that it doesn't have that. But strength training can help so much with injuries, like strengthening your back and strengthening your knees and your shoulders can help, and your neck can help so much to teach you how to like move your body properly. I think if you weren't very athletic as you were growing up or whatever, and you walk into a jiu-jitsu gym, you might not know how to like properly move your body just in general. And so strength training and conditioning can help you so much with that, which in turn will help prevent injuries and just keep you training longer. So
on that note, we as a team with Gracie Baja Brentwood and inviting all Gracie Baja members, we're doing a weekly ruck where we pick a 4 or 5 mile trail, pack up bags as heavy as we can, and we hike. So everybody's welcome. So far we have a small group of like 5-6 people, but we want to add to it, and hopefully it becomes a big group. So if you're interested, please get in contact with me, and we have a WhatsApp group going.
You guys did it this week?
Yes.
Who was there?
It was me, Mark McKinney, Angela, his better half, and Spear and Professor Brian.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a tough hike, but definitely worth it.
That was Sunday?
Sunday, yeah.
Other things that were happening Sunday, shout out Apollo, Colton, Riggs, Stephen Davis,
Yep.
all competed in the Holy Rollers, in-house tournament at 10th Planet. It's so cool that we have guys that are, have free time on the weekend and are going to other gyms to test their skills, and it's great.
Shout out to Apollo for kind of ringing everybody to it with him. He was doing it by himself, then he got Colton on board, and then Steven and Riggs, and so we appreciate Apollo getting people excited to go compete and to test themselves. I'm guessing Gracie Barra probably had the most competitors out of any gym.
Looked like, I
don't know for sure.
Jiu-Jitsu Nation at least had 2 guys from the
Okay.
video I saw, but that's all I know of.
Yeah. Great job, guys. We watched. I guess maybe I can put some of Apollo's first match at the end of this video. We'll put Apollo's match on there. It was really awesome, the one I saw, and then I'm actually going to put some other footage from something we're going to talk about in just a second.
I think just going back to Apollo's, the match that we saw is really cool because Apollo could have relied on his wrestling a lot more, I think. And he kind of accepted his opponent wrestling with him and because he wanted to play more guard. And I just think it's really cool. He went in there with that mindset, like willing to lose by not using his strongest part of his game and relying on a weaker part of his game to try and get better. And it worked to his advantage in that match. He tried to attack a foot a little bit. It was cool. Good job, Apollo. Apollinho.
All right. Should we talk about what we did on Sunday?
Yeah, sure.
So we went to, Shoop and I went to Artista Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Green Hills for the Guy Mendez seminar. The Mendez brothers, so Guy and Hafa, they're the instructors and owners of Art of Jiu-Jitsu, which is an incredible school in California. They are I think Hafa's won 7 world titles. I don't know. Same with Guy. They're the best of the best. And not only are they the best of the best when it comes to competition, but also teaching. If they have a lot of free videos on their YouTube, the Art of Jiu-Jitsu YouTube, lots of incredible details, really, really cool. And it goes, I say this all the time, but it's crazy and awesome that we get the opportunity as just normal practitioners, or even just a general hobbyist that has a normal job. You get to go pay, normally seminars are between 100 and 150 bucks. You get to pay to spend 2 to 3 hours with the best of the best of our sport, which in most sports, of course, there's camps and stuff, but a lot of times you don't only get those opportunities to go if you're a participant in the sport or if you're a young kid trying to, become a professional in the sport. Whereas in jiu-jitsu, you could go to a seminar again as just someone who trains 2 to 3 times a week, has a family, has no dreams or aspirations to be a professional jiu-jitsu athlete, but you get to go learn from the best of the best. And I only use this comparison. It's tough because jiu-jitsu is not nearly as big as basketball, but some of these guys are the Michael Jordan caliber of our sport, and we get to train with them. And even like us too, we've had Flavio Almeida, Romulo Bajal's been here, like the best of the best of the sport, and you get to learn from them, which is crazy cool. It's a cool experience.
Ricardo Almeida,
yeah, all these people.
Guy is a really good competitor and also a really good professor. Him and his brother, they have they put a massive emphasis on their kids program. They have tons of young guys that are really, really skilled and compete at the highest level that they can for their age. He brought, usually I think what he was saying yesterday is he brings like someone that's standing out at the gym or someone that deserves the exposure of like going somewhere for a seminar. Sometimes he brings like his black belts and stuff like that. But this time he brought one of his 15-year-old blue belts, Max, who is like a juvenile competitor, but very, very skilled guy. It was really, really cool to see that. The seminar was awesome. We learned how to connect De La Riva to X Guard, which was really interesting. Learned a lot of stuff there. Not too many major details, but more like big concepts and like how to fit it into your game as your own kind of practitioner jiu-jitsu player.
Yeah, it definitely did make me want to play more X Guard and work on the stuff we worked on. But my biggest takeaways were when he would talk about how to train, how to drill, and more of the big picture kind of stuff, not necessarily the technical stuff. But both obviously were very good. But he said some really cool things that I liked. I wrote down a couple things that stuck with me. One thing he was talking about, because obviously they have a ton of competitors at their school, but they also have the general hobbyists. And he said, you don't have to be a competitor to want to be good. So sometimes I think people can get in this trap when they train jiu-jitsu. They come for the fellowship and the community, but they don't put an emphasis on trying to be good. I think that's part of that just comes with, you hear it all the time that like you leave the ego at the door and all that stuff, and it's true. But just because you leave your ego at the door doesn't mean you should not have the goal to be good, because ultimately to have a good jiu-jitsu, you have to be good. You have to tap the person out or dominate the position and be better than the other person. So there's a balance of wanting to be good, but also not having an ego about wanting to be good.
I think what a lot of it comes down to, and this is what he was saying, was like training with a purpose. Like if you don't want to compete at the highest level, that's fine, but that doesn't mean if you show up to the gym, you just kind of go through the motions, do the techniques that the professor says, and then walk out and leave it at that. It's like coming in with a set of goals, and then during the specific training and the sparring, trying to implement whatever that is. And so whether you want to compete, or you're preparing for a competition, or you just enjoy the community and the martial art itself, coming in with a purpose is like the first step to really improving.
Also, if you don't show initiative to get better on your own and do the things that you have to do outside of class, people aren't going to want to train with you.
Yeah.
Because it's not very motivating when you see someone that just comes and runs through the motions.
I mean, yeah, he talked about that too, where he's like, we have guys who just show up and do the class and they don't get better, but the people who train with a purpose get better quicker. And that could be as simple as like, okay, this week we're working on mount escapes, knee on belly escapes. Why don't you like try a new escape? You've already learned, if you're a blue belt, purple belt, you've learned the escapes we're going to teach more than likely. Try and work on a new escape and say, this week, anyone who has mount on me, I'm going to escape. And that's my goal. And even if you don't reach that goal, the fact that you went into training with a goal is going to change your training, all that stuff. It's going to help you improve just by having a little goal. Whereas if you just show up, yeah, maybe you're getting better a little bit, but I even know from my training, when I don't have a certain position I'm trying to get to or whatever, like, one, it's not as fun because you're just going by the motions, but two, you're not making specific improvements that you know where you need to improve, so make an effort. And I think the best way, especially because we work on our curriculum, obviously you're going to have things that you want to work on, like that may not go with the curriculum, but try and think of the curriculum as a position. So again, this week is mount, knee on belly escapes. You could also, because you're going to be on top in specific training, say no one's going to escape my mount, and maybe study some Hadra Gracie and learn how you can choke them and not give up the mount position. I don't know where I was going with all this, but yeah. I feel like I was going to say something after, but I forgot.
Well, we're running low on time
Why?
because we have a meeting.
Oh, one thing I thought about with him talking about certain thing is like, what's more important? Is it learning techniques, or is it knowing how to train to implement those techniques? Which I think it's the latter. I think it's, someone could watch a bunch of YouTube techniques and maybe even be able to do it, and like drill it and all that stuff. But I think the meta of like jiu-jitsu and understanding how to implement the techniques into your training and get better, and building a system of how you go about adding new techniques to your game, how you drill those techniques, how you specifically train those techniques to get better. I think that is a better focus than just learning a bunch of different techniques.
Yeah.
That was something I wrote down that I took away. And then one last point, because I think it was very cool to hear someone at his level to talk about, is being honest with your level. And being honest with your level doesn't mean saying, oh, I'm a purple belt, he's a purple belt, so we should be at the same level. Because it's different for everybody. So for example, if you're a purple belt, you're training twice a week, okay? You have a family, you should be comparing your level to guys who are training similar amount of time as you, or they have similar situations as you, not necessarily looking at their belt and thinking, oh, I should be able to beat them. I'm a purple belt, this white belt, I should be able to wipe the floor with. But if this white belt's training 7 days, 6 days a week, which we have some, and they're really going for it, and they don't have extra responsibilities, so they're able to put more attention into studying jiu-jitsu, you're doing yourself a disservice to expect to beat them, even if it's a white belt, even if it's someone new. I think we've all fallen into that trap of just comparing like belt levels and thinking you should beat someone because you're a certain belt level and they are a certain belt level. But be honest with yourself about your training. Maybe you should train more. Maybe you need to hit the assault bike. I don't know. That was a big takeaway for me that I think everyone can use a reminder of, to be honest with yourself about your level. And who comparison in general is the thief of joy, right? So, but in jiu-jitsu, we're trying to improve. So you do have to compare a little bit, but be honest with who you're comparing yourself to and how your training is going. Anything else?
No.
I rolled with Guy.
Oh, yeah. We're going to include that footage as well. He got to roll with Professor Guy. He only rolled with like 3 people, and I think he saw the Gracie Barra logo and was like, all right, let me show this young gun what's up. But it was awesome. What a cool opportunity. You seemed so giddy after, which like
I was.
made me happy. And
I was giddy, and I was also just very nervous going into it.
Yeah, and you don't want to be that dude that like kicks him in the face.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, there was 100 people at the seminar, and we're all circled up. And he, after the first roll, he just looks over and like points at me and is like, come on. And I was like, what? It was wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an awesome experience. One last thing. If you go to a seminar, I recommend bring water, bring snacks, because sometimes they're long. I get hungry.
I should have brought a snack to this podcast.
Bring a notebook, okay? Write techniques down. I see a lot of people not writing stuff that's down at seminars, and that's fine if everyone's different. But especially if you're newer, you're going to forget all that stuff. It's going to go over your head. But taking simple notes is going to help you retain what was taught. So bring water, bring snacks, bring a notebook.